welcome to the world of Entelodontidae. Most people know them by their nickname, hell pigs. And honestly, for once, nature earned that title. Despite the pig comparison, entelodonts were not pigs. They belonged to a group of even-toed, hoofed mammals, which means their closest living relatives today are hippos, and weirdly enough, whales. So yes, technically speaking, this 2,000-pound bone crusher is closer to a dolphin than a farm pig. Crazy. These animals lived from about 37 to 16 million years ago and spread across North America, Europe, and Asia. That already tells us something important. Entelodontids weren't rare, and they weren't some experimental side quests in evolution. They dominated entire continents for millions of years. Physically, they looked like tanks with long legs built for covering large distances. Deep chests and strong lungs, heavy shoulders and massive skulls reinforced with thick bone. Their cheekbones flared outwards into hard plates, basically giving them built-in face armor. That feature alone tells us these animals weren't peaceful. You don't evolve armored cheeks unless head-to-head violence is a regular part of your life. Their jaws were even more impressive. The front teeth could slice flesh, while the back molars were thick and rounded, perfect for crushing bone. That combination matters because bone marrow is one of the most calorie-rich foods in nature. Entelodontids weren't just eating meat, they were processing entire skeletons. Now, instead of listing every species in this family, let's focus on the three genera that really define what these animals were capable of. First up, Entelodon. Found mainly in Europe and Asia, Entelodon was the early blueprint. It wasn't the biggest member of the family, but it already had the long skull, powerful jaws, and expanded cheek flanges. That would later become extreme. Size-wise, Entelodon stood about as tall as a modern brown bear on all fours, and likely weighed a similar amount. Fossil evidence shows bite marks on large mammals like early rhinos and primitive deer, which means Entelodon wasn't just picking at scraps. It was feeding on animals that weighed hundreds of pounds. A good modern comparison would be something like a hyena, scaled up to bear size, with longer legs and a face built for impact. Next up, Archaeotherium. Archaeotherium lived during the Oligocene and grew even larger. It stood around 4 to 5 feet at the shoulder, similar in height of a grizzly bear, but with longer legs and hooves instead of claws. What makes Archaeotherium especially interesting is that many fossil skulls saw healed fractures and facial trauma. That tells us these animals fought each other frequently and hard enough to break bones. Their teeth marks appear on fossils of early horses, camels, and other large mammals. So picture a prehistoric horse grazing peacefully, only for a bear-sized omnivore with bone-crushing jaws to decide it's lunchtime. No stealth, no ambush, just pressure and intimidation. And then the final boss of the family, Daeodon, arguably the most popular, and those annoying garbage creatures in Ark. Daeodon lived during the Miocene and represents the largest entelodont ever discovered. It stood nearly 6 feet tall at the shoulder, stretched over 10 feet long, and weighed somewhere between 1,500 and over 2,000 pounds. That's heavier than almost every bear, every lion, and every tiger. Its skull alone could reach 3 feet in length. The jaw muscles were massive, and the teeth were perfectly designed for both slicing meat and pulverizing bone. This animal could access food sources other predators physically couldn't. So were entelodontids predators or scavengers? The real answer is both. They weren't stealth hunters like big cats, and they weren't sprint predators like wolves. Their long legs suggest endurance, walking over huge territories, scavenging for anything edible. That included live prey, fresh kills, and old carcasses and bones. Harass larger ones and steal kills from predators simply by showing up. Those armored cheeks played a big role here though. The thick cheek flanges, reinforced with the skull during combat, provided extra space for jaw muscles, increasing bite force. It's similar to how rams evolved thick skulls for headbutting, except this version also eats you afterwards. During their reign, entelodonts competed with early saber-tooths, bear dogs, and primitive wolves, but none of those animals combined hippo-level mass with bone-crushing teeth. For millions of years, entelodonts sat near the top of the food chain, not because they were the fastest, but because they were the hardest to push around. Eventually though, ecosystems changed, grasslands expanded, predators became more specialized, cats got better at killing, dogs got better at chasing, and bear dogs became absolute monsters. And slowly, quietly, the hell pigs disappeared. Not in some dramatic final moment, not in the one massive extinction event. They just faded out as evolution moved on. And that's how it always goes. Empires rise, apex predators fall. Even us humans won't last forever. Nature builds something unstoppable, lets it rain, and then replaces it. And the cycle will keep repeating.